Welcome home, fam. I'm Will Carr Speaks with my co-host XRP Sean, and this is the Diginacci Sequence. What's up, brother? How you doing today, man?
I'm doing pretty good. Still hanging out in that cabin. It's raining out here in Colorado, but we got a special guest coming on. Hopefully we can have him on a lot more often. We met in Vegas. He's a badass, and we got along quite well. So I'm going to throw on his little intro graphic, and we're going to talk to Crypto Heavy. Crypto Heavy, Duran,
hey,
what's up,
what's
man?
Good, fam? What's good?
How you doing up there in Ohio?
Hey, man, look, it was raining out here, man. It was kind of stormy, but it's kind of it's a little bit better now. The sun is out, so we all right.
Nice, dude. Well, so glad you can make it on the show, man. I get to follow your TikTok on a daily basis and see all the current events that you're posting about. Let's dive into what Crypto Heavy is. Tell us a little bit about who you are, man.
Hey, man, look, I'm a military vet. So I served in the Air Force 8 years, got out, worked in finance and banking, and then a little bit of technology from there, more sales-driven, people-driven, stuff like that. And really just one of those people who likes to interact with people. I'm a certified personal trainer, so I do that. That's what my business is. And, I train people because I like to see people, improve themselves and, build up confidence and stuff like that. But, overall, like crypto was something that kind of reached out to me from people that I worked with. And they put me into like a place where I can kind of learn and kind of grow gradually. And then from there, it just kind of took off. So Crypto Heavy is like a mix of like, personal training and crypto together, because I feel like they kind of go hand in hand with, helping people and trying to transform ourselves. We're trying to transform wealth. We're trying to transfer my bodies, our temple. So it is both kind of the same, when it comes to that, like how you look at it. So that's kind of what started Crypto Heavy for me.
Yeah, that's awesome. Man. You don't have your health, what's the point in having wealth, right?
Literally, like you can't spend that money, man, if the temple ain't right. So
that's right. And hey, with you being a personal trainer, I just gotta ask, am I doing my curls right?
Hey, look. Hey, look, you got to squeeze. As long as you're squeezing at the top, you good. You squeezing at the top.
Well, you are built like a Big Mac truck, dude. You give some of the best hugs I've ever been a part of.
We have to have a competition. Who can give best hugs? I'm down.
Look, the bear hugs are real, man. You gotta show love. You gotta show love.
I might have slipped a rib the last time you hugged me. Well, we met last year in Las Vegas, XRP Vegas, and I guess we kind of chatted for a good while when we hit the VIP pool section. Got to chat with all the talking heads of the space, and just a good old Ohio boy up there doing God's work.
Man, it was dope because you was like, I'm from Colorado, and it was just like, like your vibe was just so like chill, just so laid back, just so like down to earth. And I'm like, man, like this my guy right here. Then when you reached out to me on X, you was like, hey, like just so you know, man, we got to keep in touch. And I'm like, oh yeah, for sure. Like you're my guy. So like it was definitely organic and genuine, and like you could just tell, like, I mean, but that's like for the whole XRP community, right? Like I'm pretty sure we've met so many different people that like it's just organically just really good people, and like regardless of what they do career wise, they just good humans, and that's awesome.
Truly. Yeah, it was we were talking about this yesterday, how just a lot of people we met at XRP Vegas were like-minded individuals who think for themselves, who've done a lot of research. It was really cool. I mean, there's a lot of conspiracy talk that happened in Vegas. I was a little surprised to see that the rabbit hole goes way deeper with some of those people than even myself. I was like, oh my God, about all the things. So
absolutely.
I wasn't. I feel like if you're into this and you understand the transformation that we're going through in the world right now, you understand a lot of other things that are true that people don't understand. So I was not surprised at all to hear people talk about things where I'm like, wait, that just came out of someone else's mouth? That wasn't even me?
No, and it's like an older lady too. It's like, oh, this old lady said that. I'm like, like I had an older guy telling me in the line for Uphold when I was getting my hat. He was like, well, you wouldn't want to carry this around or wear this too much longer because once XRP does what it's supposed to do, he was like, I'm getting rid of everything that says XRP. And I was like, why? Like, he was like, oh no, that's just not safe. He's like, you gotta worry about your safety. And I said, you right. I was like, man, he put me on the game. I said, you absolutely right. I will not be doing that. Like right now, we like feel like the energy of it, but like once it does what it's supposed to do, we all gonna be like, XRP, what? What? No, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I guess we were hanging at that after party, and those guys with the license plates came up, and he's like, "Oh
Yeah.
man," it's like, "Oh man, you got to buy one for your state. You're in Colorado." I was like,
Go
"Man,
check and see if this is available in Colorado.
Yeah, he did that to
Zero
me too.
percent chance. Absolutely not. I
I
will
mean,
not be doing that.
Hey, look, he said next year I want to see you with yours. I was just like, I'll buy a generic one, but I'm not really doing that.
uh,
I love it. It was awesome. It was like they had mad good energy. I was like, but that ain't for me, my man. Like I'm trying to keep it low profile out here. Like I'm a
yeah,
big guy as is. I can't have a big ass license plate too. Like that's crazy.
yeah, to each their own." But I would advise to keep it on the down low, because that's,
Literally.
it's not something you want to wear on your sleeve, because I went out to eat the other night and was wearing one of these shirts, and I was talking to an IT guy. I was like, "Oh man, you're into tech, and do you know what this shirt means?" He's like, "Oh, it could mean plenty of things." I'm like, "No, you don't know what it means."
Nope, you don't know what it means.
But yeah, having XRP in the license plate, that's pretty bold, asking for
Yeah.
a lot of attention that we're not going to want in the very near future. So, well, Duran, you talk a lot about current events on your TikTok. Well, first let me ask about your TikTok. Like, when did you start that, and how did you get so many people following that? Because I'm just like, how do all these
So
people?
I had TikTok for about 3 years now, 4 years. And it was like for fitness though. Like my business is DC Fitness Bully. So like that was like my online business, doing personal training and stuff like that. But that didn't really get a lot of like leeway, because like so many people that's posting fitness stuff and everything like that. And there's some really good people out there, right? There's really good influencers. But I used to just post it just for like the entry level motivation people. But once I got into crypto, like I felt like that's all like it like kind of consumed me as far as like information wise. And so like as I was learning stuff, I would tell people and they was like, oh, well, they listen but don't listen, right? But like I felt like if I put it in a video and kind of go through it in a quick 30-second minute video, that people would like gravitate to that. And it worked. Like people was like more willing to like listen to my conspiracy about crypto and the things that I thought about crypto, the turning events that's coming and everything. And so once I did that, it just started growing. Like people just started following me and stuff like that. I didn't expect it to be like that, because you see, like I follow like the OGs, and I'm like, I see how many they got, and I'm like, yo, I'm saying the same thing. But like I was telling you, Sean, I was like, everybody has a different story, and sometimes like maybe how I deliver it, it'll catch a different group of people. So like somebody like Zach Rector, I follow him on TikTok, and then he has a different presentation than something that I'll say. But like people gravitate to like minded people or things that the message that kind of resonate with them. So that's what kept me doing it. I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna keep doing it, and it's gonna be people that listen to me and be like, all right, cool, like I like how he said, and go from there. And I think we run into like the fact that we think we got to be perfect, and like we kind of put ourselves towards the people that's been doing it forever. And it's like you would never take the risk if you compare yourself to other people. You just gotta do what's best for you and do what's right for you and run your lane. And that's what I was like, I'm just gonna do it. And if it do nothing, that's cool. But I get my truth out, and that's really what it was about.
We always start every video with the same saying.
Yeah, yeah. Look, I was saying, listen, man, so much that I was like, I'm just gonna keep doing it. Like that was how I like. So like now it's just like, listen, man, this is what's going on. Like I need y'all to listen to this. So like I got a T-shirt made for it because it was like I said it so. Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
every video. Listen, man, and I can't help but okay, I'm supposed to be listening.
Yeah.
Here I am.
Yeah. So what recent events have you most excited right now?
To be honest, I think the biggest buzz for most of the XRP community is like the end of like that whole the SEC versus Ripple. So getting the information from Brad where he's coming out saying that they're not going to push the appeal and that they're going to end the case and we're going to move forward as a company. I think that was like the biggest hype this past weekend. just everybody kind of diving into that. Although we know it's not completely finished, we know that we still got time. We still got to wait for the official court documents and things like that. And SEC hasn't officially came out and said it, but with Brad coming out saying that they're not going to pursue an appeal, that kind of puts us in a place where we know that it's going to come to an end versus them digging their heels in saying that they about to fight and it's going to go to the secondary course and we have to wait another 2 years for it to end. So that was the biggest, most inspiring news that I heard, this weekend that got me super hype about like, just XRP in the future, because I feel like Brad and Ripple are thinking the same way we are. Like it's just enough is enough. And we need to like kind of move forward with the business of Ripple and like what XRB can do. And with everything kind of lining up together, we kind of see like the ETFs and regulations and then like the case ending. Like I think they setting it up for a really good jump of the bull run. So
yeah, all
Yeah.
this stuff lining up with the Genius and the why can't I think of the name of the other one right now?
the clarity, was it the clarity or the
It's like Clarity or something. Why
yeah.
can't should know that? I read it all the time. But yeah, all this stuff lining up with the legislation, Ripple dropping the appeal, SEC dropping the appeal soon. And did you see DAI post about how I've never seen a grown man in their 50s get a tattoo if he doesn't know what's up? And Brad
Yep.
Garlinghouse responded 1,000%.
Yep.
I was like, let's go, dude.
Yep,
Like,
like-
he's ready. Like, we know.
Like
It's time.
I appreciate Brad so much because he literally knows like that we got these guys. We all out here. We super smart. Like and we dig. And so like he gives us like the breadcrumbs that we need to like keep us going. It's like y'all on the right path, man. Y'all on the right path. Keep it going. So like I appreciate that from him. He definitely looks out for us.
Yeah, I'm sure he's had plenty of conversations with attorneys to know like what little nuggets he can drop.
Yeah,
he
for
can
sure.
Say, like,
don't say too much, but yeah, you good.
Yeah.
Well,
don't leave it to cryptographers to leave any clues.
Right. Yeah. Like they probably the ones running the bearable bull channel. Like that's them.
Yeah. We're gonna drop into that.
Oh man. Well,
we get into the riddles today.
Y'all went to Vegas this year. It was Will's first time, my second time. That was your second time, right, Duran?
Yep, my second time.
Yeah. So what was your biggest takeaway from XRP Vegas 25?
I think for me, like it was how big it grew as far as like partnerships. Like it was so many different companies there that was building on the XRPL that was really all in on Ripple, the company, and XRP. Like I found that like as it grew, it just seemed like that is just something different that we had there. It was like we had Uphold last time when we went. But this time it was like Uphold and it's like, the Ledger, and you got, what is it, Caleb and Brown there. Like it was just so many different big companies, which is like super cool to see, like, because they giving us information. They really there hands on and really helping us out. What's the one with that you can build on a Ledger? Because those guys are super cool. Is it Dom and
Oh yeah, the Easy A guys.
Easy A guys, man.
Phil.
Super cool dudes, man. Like I got to talk to them a couple times and like they just genuinely good dudes and like really want to see like this industry move forward. And it's like they work hard, man. Them dudes be everywhere. So it was really cool to like kind of like just touch elbows with those people and kind of see that we on the right path, honestly.
Yeah.
And then it's like you meeting your friends again. Like I got to see you again. Like it's like a family reunion, man. Like it's awesome.
Yeah,
I talked to a couple people and asked the question, what was your favorite thing? And all the people said is the people. It was meeting people. Like it was the community of it. There's so much cool stuff at the show, but man, it's just like it felt like everybody that I met was family. Like it was dope. And and that was the response I got from almost everyone I asked that question to. It's the people that they met.
Yeah.
I hear my dog barking. There's probably another dog walking by.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed that Brad and DAI were a little bit more reserved this year as far as walking out and chatting with everybody. But by the time we saw Brad and DAI, we were just like, hustled over there with the camera, and they were on their way out with security.
Yeah, especially DAI. I was pretty surprised. Brad, I know he doing a lot of back channel stuff. So like he seemed like he was like just always moving, and I don't know how much DAI plays into that too, but like I was like, somebody was like, oh, he got security. I said, No, but he literally had like security. Like he had like a couple guys with him the whole time, and I was like, "Holy crap, that's crazy!"
Always
And
there.
like, and he's. I got to take a picture with him, and he like I talked to him, and I was like, "Oh, you remember me?" He was like, "Oh yeah, I remember me from last year." Blah blah blah. So like, still personable guys, but like I feel like they was just so busy that they didn't really get a chance to like enjoy the moment like some of the other influencers did. Like you look at Mickle and Zach, like they was out there mingling. Good morning, a crypto crew. They was just out there. Coach JV out there. Like Coach JV, literally, man, that man was there from the open to close, taking pictures, talking to people, getting stories all day. I
Yeah,
was
That
like,
man's an
yo, this dude is an
inspiration.
animal. He an animal, man. It's crazy. Like
yeah,
that's, I mean, but that's genuine human. Like you know what I mean? Like he value like the people, and it's just like that's cool to see.
Totally. I always find it funny when people have security and the security's like these little, like tiny dudes.
Yeah,
I'll be like,
yeah.
what is this guy? Like, am I ever going to get to a point in my life where like I'm walking around, I got like 3 guys that come up under my nipples and they're supposed to be my security guys? I don't know.
They protecting you,
That's me.
right? Like literally. You're
Like
like, so are you the security?
anyone wanted to get to you, DAI, they're
They,
getting through your little bodyguard. Like,
hey, look, let me tell you a funny story. So I'm waiting to get a picture with him, right? It was me and Subjective Views. I don't know if y'all follow him on Twitter or X or whatever. He's dropping a lot of stuff. But like we standing there and like the guy asked me, was like, "Oh yeah, are you security?" I thought he was joking just because I'm a big guy. I was like, yeah, yeah, I'm in security. And he believed it. He was like, "Oh, can we go up?" I said, "Oh no, I'm joking, man." I said, "I'm waiting to get a picture. I'm just waiting to get a picture. Like I'm just here to I'm like looking like I ain't got security on. I got like XRP shirt just like you, bro." Like, it was crazy. I said, man, like he made it big, man.
it makes you wonder how much do you how much do you guys think that DAI and Brad have?
oh man, you talking about XRP bag?
Yeah.
Man, dude.
Man, like I feel, man, they got to be two of the biggest wells in the community. Seriously, bro. Like they got to be. Like they got in way, way. Like shit, Sean, you said what 6 years for you,
Yeah, 6, 7 years.
and they got in before you did. Like, bro, like, and they understood it way back then.
Yeah.
Like they was already on understanding what it
And they've
was.
had cash flow to stack the whole time.
Right. And then you think like they YouTube channels and stuff, man, like them dudes, they top tier. They probably up there. They in the 5% probably.
Oh man, more
Easy.
than that.
Yeah, right.
We're probably all, no, I'm not gonna finish that.
Well, I've seen you talk about some experiences you've had with sharing XRP with your local community, not the XRP community. I think you mentioned your barber at once.
Oh
You want to
yeah, man.
dive
Like
into that a little bit?
yeah, man, it was crazy. Like I was talking about XRP for, like years now. You get excited about it, you start learning, you get more information, and then you just want to tell people because you want to give them the opportunity too, because you know where this is going to lead. And I remember talking to my barber about it maybe like 8 months ago or something to that effect. And he seen me and he was like talking. He was like, "Hey man, like, he cut my hair and he like, yeah, so tell me again about that XRP that one thing that you was saying, like, and I'm like, what XRP? And he's like, yeah, 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 yeah. And I'm like, yeah, I got you. So I went through the whole breakdown of like what XRP is. Like I helped him set up his Uphold account, like, and just like showed him how to like transfer the money back and forth and how quick it is. Like this literally was like breaking it down for him. And he was just like, oh man, he's like, I should have got in when you told me. I said, yeah. I was like, because now it's at $2 and some change. I said, when I was telling you about this, it was like 48 cents, like 42 cents, like, and I was like, but it's cool. I said, because this is just the beginning. It's going to go up even more. And he was like, oh, okay. I said, so just get as much as you can get and then you'll be fine. I said, you ain't really comparing it to everybody else. You just want to have a piece in it, and he was just like, all right, cool. And he was like, what else? I was like, just focus on XRP right now. Like, just get this one locked in. We'll talk
Yeah.
about more. But like, it was so funny because it was just like random. Like he must have seen something on TikTok because it's been trending on TikTok and it's trending on like YouTube and stuff like that. So like he saw that and he was just like, "This is what you was talking about, right?" I'm like, "Yep, that's what I was talking about, sir. Yeah, let me break it down." And and I don't take offense that people don't listen. I just like always want to give them the opportunity. I'm like, I'm not a salesman. I'm not here to sell you on this. Like I believe in it, and if you want to get more information, I'll help you. But if not, then like it's up to you, man. You got to make your own choices. So
Yeah.
But I was like, you made the right decision, sir.
I think at this point, you only tell people about it once and then it's on them, because you don't want to beat a dead horse. But here's my question. What is going to be your advice? Because what you just said, that's still my advice. I'll be like, man, I wish you'd have got in at sub 50,
Yep.
but still buy.
Yep.
What's going to be your advice when it's 10-15?
Look, I think when it gets to that point, like I would probably tell people, honestly, I probably direct them to other assets because at $15, I
Those
feel
other
like
assets are going to be pumped too. Like,
they maybe,
like it's not
yeah. I
like
mean, I guess it
XTP
depends
8
on how the
card. These other ones, they're not going to just be, maybe
too
they
far
haven't
behind.
10x'd.
Yeah, yeah. Like I think at that point, like they may need to wait to the bear market. Like to be honest, because I wouldn't want to. I wouldn't. The reason I said it because I wouldn't want to sell somebody like tell them like, hey, yo, get it now because it's gonna go to 50 because we don't know like if this is the time that it goes to 50. It could be 8 months to a year from now that it goes to 50. It will get there, but like we don't know when. And at this point, we already up because we got it at sub 40, 50
Right.
cents. Like they would be even if they pumped up to $20, they not getting a huge. It's almost like Bitcoin at that point. So it's like, yeah, do you want to just have this asset and then watch it drop all the way back down, hoping that it does a 3x, 4x from $15, or do you want to just play the field? But then at the same time, it's like, what if we never come back down?
Right.
And then like so it's like a scary like situation. It's like you may want to get a few of them just to have, but like I don't know if it'll ever come back down. Like, I mean, it'll never come back down to 50 cents. I strongly believe that. I think that, sub $2 to $5 may be where we at, especially if we go to 15 to $20 this cycle. But like it'll never be 50 cent again. Like I don't see that ever. Like I just don't. Like so people who got in at that time, they legends. Anybody else that's getting in at $2, like that's still a good buy because it's not gonna be that even when we get into the next bear market. So I don't know what you think. What you gonna say?
I mean, I think we got the biggest bull run in history coming. Like, we'll see some pullbacks and stuff, but I mean, we could see this next 5 years just be absolutely insane as they pull everything on the blockchain. And again, I was talking to my dad for 2 hours today about XRP and blockchain. My dad with math is incredibly smart, and he's got a background of at least understanding the markets to a top tier. But I was trying to tell him that market cap's not going to matter when they start tokenizing real estate, derivatives, everything. Well, it's not going to matter. And why would you use the second best technology? Why would you use any other blockchain? So, and I was also explaining to him the basically the rails of the system are the XRP ledger. The only native token is going to be XRP. So when you have RLUSD needing XRP and not, people try to say, oh, they're backpedaling, they're creating a stable coin. It's like, no, they're
don't get it.
creating even more liquidity for XRP. And so I was trying to explain all this to him, and luckily he understands most of it. But we're walking into a time where market cap absolutely just it's going to be irrelevant, because when you start pulling on trillions and quadrillions of dollars onto the ledger, this is why I'm so bullish, because they say at the World Economic Forum we're going to tokenize everything by 2030, and we heard that years ago. Here we are in halfway through 25. And oh my God, that's only 4.5 years away that they plan on tokenizing everything. So,
and in 2 weeks, July 14th, the Federal Reserve of the US switches over.
Yep.
By November 22nd this year, the SWIFT system no longer accepts the old messaging standard. This is the year that shift happens. And so that's why when you go back to the question, what am I going to tell people when it's still at $10, $15? I'm probably not going to tell people anything unless they ask me. Like I'm done telling people, I'm done trying to share it with the random person. I'm done trying to share it with my friends. But if someone asks me, I'm not going to be able to tell them anything other than you need exposure to this.
Yeah.
Obviously they're not going to be able to stack the same amount of bags unless they're already. But even if someone's already a millionaire, what are they going to come up with 50 grand to buy in at $10? Like to get 5,000?
That's the crazy part. Like it's like when you hear people say, "Oh, people won't be able to afford 1,000 XRP," and I'm like, really? But like in reality, if it gets like it's supposed to be moved, it can't be a small amount if it's moving all those transactions. So like we know that $10 is just a stepping stone to the next one, right? So like you're right. Like it's like maybe get some exposure, almost like gold. It's like cool, you can't buy a whole 1 ounce gold, just get something, you know what I mean? Because you want to have some exposure. You want to have some exposure in Bitcoin. You want to have like you almost kind of like it'll be like a Bitcoin-ish kind of thing. It's like, well, just try to get up 0.1 of XRP type of deal so you can have some exposure because not having any is not an option. But saying go all in on it also was like you missed it. Like you missed that. Like you may still be able to transform your life if you got a lot of money, but most people who didn't pay attention early they gonna miss that transfer of wealth that we talking about because that's what it's gonna be. Like it's gonna be a huge transfer of wealth.
I think the difference is Bitcoin is speculative.
Yeah,
XRP has real world utility, real world use
absolutely.
case. Like, and that's what's getting turned on this year. The payment rails are switching to ISO 20022 compliant. That's happening this year. That's out. That has to happen in order for all this tokenization to come on chain.
Yep.
That's why that's happening now. You know, like Sean said, the World Economic Forum might say it's going to be 2030 by the time they have everything tokenized. But that's why the payment rails are changing this year. So that way, over the next 4 years, all of that tokenization happens. And then what? You know, and
right.
then,
I mean, you got to think
happen.
what crypto is what 3 trillion market cap total, and they talking about 15 trillion to 30 trillion by 2030. Like, I mean, that's a lot, and I mean,
And that's being
that means
conservative.
bro, that means, and that's being conservative. That's them being conservative because they have to. Just imagine how it really is going to be once it starts taking off. And like you said, once the ISO 2022 actually get in there, and then everything is already on the same Swift, and everybody is all the same, then it's going to be different. It's a different ball game. Then they can do whatever they need to do on the back end without having to worry about any kind of like hiccups. And I think that's the biggest thing they're worried about. They want to make sure that everything is flawless before they hit the switch or whatever you want to call it and start utilizing blockchain technology. So I'm excited about that. I mean, like you said, the end of this year could be explosive going into 2026. And if it never turns back around, like you said, Sean, like it's supposed to be the 2030, and that means it's going to be ramping up all the way to 2030. That means we may not even get a bear market again. Like that's crazy. You know,
we may get a bear market again. It just might be several years from now.
Right.
And it depends what assets you're in. Like the speculative assets, of course, those are going to go into a bear market.
Yeah.
You know, and the speculative assets, the best thing they got going for them is the debasement of the dollar and inflation.
Yep.
When you're in the blockchain that's going to have actual real world utility, like, man, imagine being able to own HTTP. Exactly. Imagine being able to own www.
Yep.
That wasn't possible when the internet, you were only able to buy businesses that were building on the internet. And hence why those speculative businesses blew up, .com bubble. We all know that story.
Mm-hmm.
But this is different. This is like you can actually own the infrastructure of Web 3. You can't own the infrastructure of Web 2. Web 3 allows you to own the infrastructure. And then what businesses get built on top of that just makes the infrastructure more valuable.
Yep. I think trying to explain that to people, I think that's the hard part because like once you understand that, then you like, okay, cool. Like you see where the direction of like where we're going as a society, as in the world. And like, I think trying to explain that to people, they don't get that part of because most people are like, oh, okay, the internet is the internet. It was like, yeah, but you understand that like if you could have owned like HTTPS or whatever for the internet, like that was like the blockchain for that. You could have owned that before it took over the world because now that's the only thing we use, right? And it's like blockchain is going to be like that. It's the railroads to like the new financial system, and you can own a piece of that now. And then once you own it, you always own it. So it's like, do you want to sell that? Like, do you want to sell that infrastructure? And that's the scary part because like think about if you get to $10, right? And like, yeah, that's great. That's a huge win, right? But like we know that's a startup. That's not even an appetizer for where it's gonna go, right? So like and so many people are gonna sell out of it. And if it's like Sean said, where we may not ever go back, or we get a bear market in 2 to 3 years or 4 years from now, you may not be able to buy back into XRP. Like people think they can just buy back into it. We may not get the opportunity to. And if the institutions start swallowing it up, then it's going to be even less on the exchanges. So
Mm.
like it's like a very it's exciting but scary, because it's like you got to make the right moves in these moments coming up, because it can change your life in either way. You know what I mean? You could be the guy that sold all the Amazon at $13 and missed it when it got to 3,500. You know what I mean? Like, so it's gonna be crazy.
I mean, I'm still trying to explain what blockchain is to people. It's like, they ask like, well, what do you mean blockchain? It's like, well, I guess the simplest way I can explain it is you're sitting at a poker table and there's chips passed around. You never get to leave that table with those chips. Everything stays on the table. All the playing cards, all the chips, they all stay on the table. And that's the easiest way I can explain it. It's like to my dad today. It's like I feel like I did a pretty good job of explaining what all this is about. But most older people are just not going to be able to comprehend what the blockchain is. I'm like, okay, well, it's in the cloud. It's like your emails on Yahoo. Like you'll never be able to touch them, but they're still there. And you have an email address, and it only goes to you. So it's we're walking into a time where most people just don't understand what's going on, and we made it. I was here, 6-7 years ago. The lawsuit happened. I managed to buy some at 18 cents when it bottomed out down there. And,
Wow.
that was awesome, because I had been buying it around 30, 40 cents the whole time, 25 cents. When I first bought XRP, it was 25 cents. And this was, I can't remember when, but, it was after watching podcasts and reading articles. And this is when the news was actually talking about it. And when the lawsuit came, everybody shut up about it. And then now you can't learn about it. But,
Yep.
that kind of perked my ears up a little bit to dive in further, because, the mafia wants to get paid. They want their ante, they want their tax, they want it. And here we are. And I think they're just buying time so that they can figure this shit out, so they can, they get their buddies in, they can make sure the banks are still relevant, because banks probably are just going to be somebody that holds onto your crypto for you. Oh, well,
Yep.
it's super safe here. And, Caleb and Brown, they're kind of playing that role right now, but it's a much more friendly entity that's been here for a handful of years. I have an account with Caleb and Brown, but, I guess when I plan to liquidate anything, it'll probably go through them.
Yeah.
Super friendly people. And, we had a great interview with them. And, I've talked to them on the phone a couple of years ago, trying to get a friend of mine in on it. And it seems like a really good option, but the banks are going to be clamoring for that kind of opportunity to, we'll hold your crypto and we've got anybody on call, because they're not going to need bankers. They're not going to need tellers. They're
Nope.
not going to need any of that stuff. So it's, man,
I
we're
mean, there's
walking
only going to
into,
need to be a small handful of institutional custody players, and then your banks will just license that from them. And that's how they'll continue to charge little bits of fees, and they'll continue to keep people in fear of their own self custody. So that way they need banks.
Yep.
But it's like when we interviewed John Deaton out there in Vegas, I straight up asked him, I was like, what's going to happen to the small banks? And his response was, unless they figure this out right now, small banks are gone. That's not what he said word for word, but
Yeah.
we're going to eventually play that and release it. But I mean, that's what he said. That's what he meant. And, I knew the answer before I asked. I just wanted to hear what he would say. But
The crazy thing is, if they were smart, they would go all in on it, though, because there's no way they can compete with a JP Morgan or these Wells Fargo's and Bank of America. Like, but if you can get in early and figure this out and have people start gravitating to you, and you be the crypto bank, like kind of like what's the one that crashed out that they basically like sunk? uh, like a few years ago.
In San Francisco.
Yeah, the bank that like some Silk Road or some Silver whatever Silvergate or whatever it is, like that bank crashed out, but it was an XRP, it was a crypto bank that
Yeah.
was utilizing custody and doing all that for all the big time crypto people, and they sunk it because they knew that like if that bank was there, it would everybody would gravitate to that bank. And the big banks wasn't ready to play yet. Also, the Fed had them locked up. Like the Fed made it hard for them to be able to custody and do all that. So with them releasing the statements that they can full on go custody crypto and do all the things that, like the Coinbases are doing and the upholds, then it's game time for them. Like they playing catch up. They playing catch up right now. Like you said, Will, they want everything. And they don't like missing out on money. So like they gonna be trying to get everybody to come there to custody their crypto.
Yeah.
And
Go
it's
ahead.
safe. It'll be safe. Like it'll be safe. But like I don't really want to mess with them. So
I think the thing is though, the small banks still don't get it. It's not that they don't want to, it's they don't get it. Like here where I live, there's a small, I wouldn't even call it a regional bank. I'm going to just call it a local bank that has 4 branches. It's held by a trust and this local family that has a ton of money. And the kid that basically runs, I'm going to call him a kid, but I think he's like 1 year younger than me. I mentioned it to him and he just doesn't like, he didn't get it, and he's our age, like, let alone his parents or like whatever, and however their trust is set up. And it brings me back to, I don't know if you guys have seen The Great Taking by David Webb, that documentary. If people have not seen The Great Taking, is an absolute must watch. And if you've got to watch it 4 or 5 times to understand it, highly recommend it because it's deep and people need to understand what's about to happen. But what David Webb says is the wealthiest of the people, like what we think of, like the people that would own a bank with 4 branches, like they've got money, they've got what we would think is wealthy. They're obviously multimillionaires. They are the people that the very elite class are saving for dessert. And that's what David Webb says, because it's those people, it's the people that think they have $5 million in the stock market. It's the people that think they've got a $20 million business who think they're insulated in this type of shift, and they're not, and that's why most of the small banks are going to go. I have that one story here locally, but I'm sure that's probably the case for 99% of small banks. They're probably run by some guy in their 60s and it's been a family business and they're just too skeptical of this new thing. They think it's fake. They think that it's a scam, and they're about to find out that 99% of crypto isn't anything, but the stuff that is completely about to swallow every industry.
Yes. And I think you nailed it, because like I think that's the biggest key. Like the ones who are not doing the research and doing the work now to try to figure out, okay, so where I need to play in this. But like if BlackRock is pushing towards crypto, I don't understand why any investor, any bank, any institution would be like, oh well, yeah, BlackRock is gonna play in crypto, but it's a scam. Like it's like that don't make sense. Like if they agree to it, then you need to be like, okay, so what are they seeing that we don't see, and how are they forward looking in this industry, and what are they expecting to happen, and why aren't we thinking the same way? Because if not, you're gonna get left behind. You're gonna be blockbuster, because it's no way that you can compete from the back, like especially if you're a small bank and small institution. There's no way you can't, because you can barely compete with the big banks right now. Like if they start integrating and you don't, it's a wrap. Like it's done. We're gonna see so many locations closing down, and it's gonna be like similar to like what they said before, where it's like just these monopoly of big banks, and we don't have those neighborhood local banks anymore. They're gonna go away.
Yeah. I mean, I saw some stat the other day where it's like only 4% of people under the age of 35 prefer in-person banking.
Literally.
And I'm like, I'm one of those 4%. Like, honestly, as much as I love my crypto, I show up to my local bank. Like, they give me a sucker for my daughter. Like, it's like, I say hi to the ladies, it's great. I love being able to show up there. It's a community, but most people don't care. Like,
I can't say the last time
just
I've
do
been
it
in
on
the
their
bank.
phone.
Yep. Online banking. Like it's funny because I worked at Wells Fargo like years ago, and I remember when they first rolled out online banking and how hard it was to get people to trust that. They was like, no, I just come into the bank to talk to you, and I'm like, well, you can see your account. You don't got to come in and see a teller and to see what your balance is. You can do it from online, and it was so hard. It was like 2009, 2010 for online banking. Like the integration is like everybody gets an online bank account. You get a debit card, you get online banking, get a savings account. Like that was like the little bucket as a teller and as a banker. And it was like people fought online banking, but now we don't live without it. Like, you know what I mean? And that's we just so early that people don't catch that what crypto is going to provide for them and how easy it's going to be for them that like they gonna miss it. We gonna push they, but then there's so many people that's gonna miss it because they like was so far behind. It's like that was a useful thing that I should have took advantage of.
Mm. Well, we are moving fast into the new tracks of our financial system. Yeah, I hopefully they'll still have some cash at some point, but hey, Blake, there's his daughter. She's standing on a chair or something. She's
standing on the
definitely
weight bench.
She's definitely not 6'5", but well, I think it's a good place to wrap it up. I think we're pushing 45 minutes, but I certainly would love to have you back on, possibly on a weekly basis, DeBron,
Yes, sir.
and let's see where this takes us, man. This is just episode 2, and you know, we'll see what happens. But I guess I'll go ahead and sign off.
Yeah.
I'm Sean.
The whole point of this show is to have fun, and I just had a blast. That was awesome.
Yeah. No, that was great conversation, man. I hope I get to come back, man, and we can do it again.
Yeah, let's do it again soon, man. Well, you guys have a wonderful afternoon, and we'll see you next time.
Yes, sir.